spotlight Chase. Hey, there's Chase. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. As you all know, we're here because Chase has been announced as the new driver of the 14 car for Stewart-Haas Racing next season, replacing Clint Bowyer. Congratulations to Chase. What we will do here is we will do these individually. We'll start with Chase. We'll get all the questions out of the way for Chase. We'll go 15, 20 minutes. Then we'll go into Mark Rushbrook, and then we'll follow with Tony. So we'll do everybody individually and make sure that everybody gets what they need. So we'd ask that you ask one question only. We've got them lined up here, so we've got a ton of questions. Let everybody get their initial question, and if we've got time at the end, we'll come in with follow-ups afterwards. So let me start recording here. So with that, we'd like to officially congratulate Chase Briscoe on his promotion to the Cup Series. And let's just start with questions right off the bat. Chase, we're going to start with DominikAragon. Go ahead, Dominik.
Thank you, guys. Hey, Chase, besides winning as many races as you can, make in the playoffs next year, personally for you, what are some goals? What makes next year a successful year for you?
Yeah, I think just first off, just trying to learn as much as I can. You know, those guys are so good at what they do. It's going to be a huge jump. Just trying to become a better race car driver, doing all the little things right. You know, pit road, all restarts, all those things are going to be so different, and just trying to improve on all those things. Obviously, if we could make the playoffs, I feel like that would be a really successful year. We're obviously going to go and try to win races. I mean, we're going to try to go win every race, but realistically, that's going to be hard to go do your first year, but we're just going to try to learn. Obviously, that new car is coming out the following year, so I think just trying to learn as much experience of racing against those Cup guys as you can, trying to become a better race car driver for when we're all on the same playing field as far as the car goes. But, you know, I think with the road courses and the dirt race and even some of the ovals, I feel like we can go run up front. And, you know, the 14 car obviously is going to have speed, so it's just a matter of trying to put it all together.
Thanks, Chase.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Claire B., you're up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Chase, I know you dreamed of this, right? But when it all comes to fruition and you actually look at it happening, how much do you think, you know, that this is your time right now? And what are the thoughts inside of you as you think about moving up into Cup at this stage of your life?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It still doesn't really feel real. You know, when I first signed with Ford, you know, obviously the goal was to go Cup racing. And for me, you know, I would always tell them, like, Stewart-Haas is my dream situation just because I was a diehard Tony fan. And the goal and the dream was always the 14 car, but I don't think it was necessarily believable that was going to happen, how it all worked out. So for me to be as big of a Tony fan as I was, to have so much respect for the number 14, you know, to me, it's more than just a number. You know, I truly care about that number and the history of that number, going from AJ Foyt to Tony and even Clint. So there's a lot of pride in that number, being a dirt guy, getting to drive that car and getting to drive for Stewart-Haas. So it still is unbelievable. I've been texting with my mom, my dad, my wife, and just how it all doesn't seem real. But I'm ready to get to Daytona. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire B. Let's go to Ben Johnston. Go ahead, Ben. You have a question?
Thanks, man. Hey, Chase, congratulations on the fantastic news. Excuse me. How excited are you going ahead into next season? And what have you learned kind of during your last season in the Xfinity Cup that you can bring forward to next season?
Yeah, I'm super excited about next year, but truthfully, I'm not even thinking about next year until we get this year done. I mean, there's still a championship to win. There's still 3 more races to try to win. And that's the main focus. We're focused on the Cup stuff after this year's over. But yeah, I think I've learned quite a bit this year, but there's going to be so many things that are so different. You know, just every little detail you have to do 100% right on the Cup days. You can't get away with a mistake here or there like you can on the Xfinity deal. So I feel like I've learned a lot. I feel like from a confidence level, my confidence has been raised a ton this year, but obviously that's going to probably get humbled quite a bit next year moving up. But just trying to take as much as we can, you know, really trying to focus on these playoffs and even learning from the pressure of how these playoffs work, being that championship 4, I think is going to be a great teaching tool for the future, and just trying to, you know, just how to respond to that pressure of being in a championship race and closing out these playoffs.
Excellent. Well, best of luck for next season and best of luck for the rest of this year.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.
All right, thanks, Ben. Let's go to Jacob Seelman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Thanks, Dan. Chase, congratulations, obviously. I know there's been a few on social media already this morning draw the comparison, you and Tony and your dirt backgrounds, how you came up the ranks. How has that helped you as far as adapting to this point? And what do you think from your dirt background will help you as you move into the Cup Series next year?
Yeah, I think for sure, it is pretty cool how me and Tony both grew up sprint car racing. Both from Southern Indiana, 45 minutes apart. There is a lot of similarities in that sense. And then just from, the dirt background, I feel like it's helped me throughout my entire career. And obviously the Xfinity cars have a lot less downforce than the Cup cars. But, when you have that high downforce, typically the looser you can drive the car, the faster it's going to go. So I think just having that dirt background certainly going to help. With more and more road races, I feel like my dirt background helps. And even with the one dirt race now at Bristol, it's going to help. So, I think just growing up, running on dirt, it makes you to be versatile. You have to constantly react and move around and search around the racetrack. And, these Cup races, with those being longer races, the track's going to constantly change and you're going to have to be on top of that. So I think it's definitely going to help.
Thank you, buddy. Good luck.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, if everyone could just double check to make sure that they're muted. We just got some ancillary sounds coming here. I've tried to mute everybody, but if I've missed you, and then unmute when I call on you to ask your question, okay? So let's move on to Woody Kane. Go ahead, Woody.
Hey, congratulations. First off, Chase, you mentioned focusing on this year, and that's where I was wanting to go with you. You mentioned after the win last week, you can focus on Phoenix now, and obviously you're not going to disregard Texas and Martinsville, but what does that mean logistically, being able to focus more on knowing that you're in that championship race? And then the next two races coming up, you got Texas first, where you were a runner-up last time.
Yeah, I think it changes a lot, truthfully. I was listening to SiriusXM this morning and Todd Gordon talking about how just the preparation and the confidence standpoint of thinking you're going to Phoenix and for sure going to Phoenix is just two different mindsets. So it allows us to for sure focus on that car solely, just knowing that we're for sure going to be there. And then even from just a preparation standpoint, I was just at the Ford Performance Center yesterday and, running laps in the simulator at Phoenix already, trying to get prepared where normally we wouldn't be doing that, 3 weeks out. And, even reaching out to Harvick yesterday about coming to the simulator to help me just get around there a little bit better. So all those things, it just allows us to focus on that now that we're locked in, where if we weren't locked in, we probably wouldn't be as focused on that kind of stuff right now. We would instead be worried about Texas and Martinsville. So it just opens up a lot more doors for us, I feel like.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Woody. Let's go to Bob Pockras with Steve Post on deck. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Chase, you talked about Tony being your hero. Since you've been working for him, have you either been intimidated by him or had fanboy moments around him? And if so, have those feelings changed at all?
Yeah, when I was younger, for sure I did. When I was, I think the first time I met him, I was only 4 or 5. And then, I saw him again, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 area. But honestly, as soon as I started driving for him, I was always at the racetrack when I saw him, that all that changed. I'm there for a job and, he's my boss. At the end of the day, I got to go run good. If not, he's not going to keep me in the seat. So no, I don't feel like I've really looked at him any differently now than just anybody else. Obviously you want to make him proud and all those things, but no, it's just super surreal to be able to drive that 14 car and for him to tell me that I was going to get to drive that car and all those things. I wish I could go tell 7-year-old Chase that was in his Tony Stewart stuff, playing sprint car video games and playing NASCAR video games, that he was eventually going to get to drive his car. But it's definitely crazy to look back on and think about all those things. But no, I don't look at Tony any differently now than, he's my boss. That's all there is to say.
All right, thanks, Bob. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, Chase, congratulations. You've talked a lot about your past with Tony. That 14 number is a generational thing. You're a generational racer. You, your father, your grandfather, what did AJ Foyt mean to you or to them, or is there connections there to AJ with that number 14?
Yeah, absolutely. My grandpa's been owning sprint cars since 1976, and AJ Foyt was one of the best. I mean, there's no other way to put it. So that number, in just AJ in general, I think a lot of people looked up to AJ, the race car driver that he was. He was so versatile, running USAC, running IndyCar, all those things. A lot of people loved AJ Foyt. And, I know my dad and my grandpa were two of his biggest fans. So, yeah, it's super cool. For me, the 14 is Tony's number, but to my family, it's AJ Foyt's number. So, like you said, that's a generational number that has a lot of significance in all of motorsports. So hopefully I can add to that. But it's super humbling to think that, that 14 car is going to be driven by me next year. To me, there's only a few numbers in NASCAR that have a lot of significance, and the 14 is certainly up there.
Very good. Let's go to Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, Lee.
To kind of follow up on what Posty said, the fact that your grandfather built sprint cars, Kevin raced sprint cars, is just coming from that background and knowing the work ethic and effort it takes to do what these guys do, to show up every week. Is that one of the reasons you've been able to maintain your humility through all of this?
Yeah, I think, for sure. And not even so much the sprint car thing. I think just going back to, 5 years ago, I was literally volunteering at race shops and sleeping on the couches. And, I was going to the racetrack every weekend and working on an ARCA car. And I was the guy that was getting there at 7 in the morning and, changing stuff throughout practice, sweating your tail off. And it makes you appreciate those guys. And I remember when I'd been there all day long and, the race starts at 9 o'clock at night and the driver's complaining about this or that, it's degrading. You don't want to hear that after you've been working all day on the thing and sweating. And, I think that's just a lot of the reason I've been the way I am throughout my entire career is I get where those guys are coming from. And truthfully, I know that I'm getting to drive a race car for a living. That's an amazing thing to be able to do. And, I don't want to be doing anything else. So at the end of the day, yeah, I don't want to run 15th to 20th on a bad day, but that's still better than going to another job. So I think that's always kept me grounded, is just knowing that and coming from, that side of things where a lot of guys driving didn't work on their stuff as like I did coming up, and volunteering and doing all those things. So it just makes you appreciate it that much more.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Lee. Let's go to Mike Solarte. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks very much. Chase, congratulations, man. This is a really cool moment for you in terms of your career. And this year, though, has been a difficult one for you off the track. How has racing been your sanctuary? Because, 9 wins and now you're promoted to the Cup Series, realizing your racing dreams. But how has the racing been your kind of getaway, I guess, through 2020?
Yeah, it's been, huge to be able to get in the car and forget about a lot of things. Put, obviously the miscarriage deal, I couldn't imagine not going to the racetrack and getting in the car just because it allowed me to kind of get away from everything for, an hour and a half, 2 hours. And, it's same, whether it's, going through something like that or, contract situations, you just want to get in the car and just do your thing. You want to forget about all the stuff that's going on in the world because you're almost in your own bubble when you're in the race car. You're not focused on the outside world, whatever you're dealing with at home or whatever. So I think that's been huge. And obviously the success has been great this year. But just being able to have that getaway has been great.
Congratulations, man. Hell of a year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Let's go to Jim Utter over at motorsport.com. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Chase, congratulations. Your journey through NASCAR has not been easy by any means. And in fact, you've talked many times about times when you thought that it might come to an end. I just wondered, and yet here you are today, promoted to the Cup Series. What are the things, I know performance obviously means a tremendous amount, but personally, what are the things that have gotten you through to bring you here today when there were times maybe when you wanted to quit?
Yeah, I think obviously my faith is something I'm proud about. And I feel like my faith has gotten me through a lot of that, throughout my entire career, going back to even sprint cars when, my family wouldn't have the money to race. We would talk about selling out and just getting, out of racing in general. And we would just pray, if it's meant to be and you want the doors to be open, open them. If not, close them, and, just show us what path to take. And it seemed like every time, that following week we would get a sponsor. It might be $500 or $700 or whatever, just enough to allow us to keep going racing. And it's been the same way on the NASCAR deal. There's been so many times I feel like, I was going to be done and a sponsor comes up or I win a race and it kind of restarts everything. So, just my faith, I feel like, has been able to get me through it. It's kept me, obviously grounded and just focused on, just having that, I don't even know what the word would be. I guess just confidence that, whatever happens, I'm going to have to just deal with it. That's how it's meant to be. And I just got to use that to, for my platform.
Thanks, bud. Congrats again.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
All right. Thanks, Jim. We've got 5 more hands raised. So let's get through these 5 questions and then we'll be good with Chase. So let's just start from the top. Greg Engel, go ahead.
Hey, Chase, congratulations adding that to the
Thank you.
points of everybody that sent them. Talk about the timing of this, because what I mean by that is you were talking about you needed to win 8 races to earn a chance in the Cup Series. So was it like you won that 8th race and you were calling Tony and going now? So talk about the timing and how it felt, between the time that you knew you were being considered for it and the time that you got the official phone call saying, hey, you're it for next year. I mean, how did that feel to finally get that phone call after, whatever the time frame was in terms of waiting to know that you were being considered?
Yeah, the timing of just everything, my entire career, how it's all worked out, as it's been meant to be, I feel like, as far as just the doors that have been open. And even, getting to the Cup Series, 5 years from now, it's hard to say even what Cup rides are going to be available, just the age of guys and kind of how it all works. And, how I was able, I'm not saying that just because I won 8 races was going to mean I was going to go to the Cup Series. I just felt like that was my best opportunity to be able to go there. And, just to be able to win our 7/8 area race. And then that's about the time negotiations were going to start happening, for the playoffs to start right when we kind of hit our stride. And, while, it just so happened that Clint was around the end of his career in general. If he's 10 years younger, he's probably not getting out of the car. So, just all those things timing wise have to line up perfectly. And they obviously have worked out great. Hopefully they can continue to.
Thanks, pal. And go buy a boat.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Let's go to Jeff Magliacchetti. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hi, Chase. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations. You talked about the legacy that AJ and Tony left behind in the 14, but you're taking over for a talented driver and one of NASCAR's most vibrant personalities in Clint Bowyer in the 14. What's your relationship been like with Clint, and what's the biggest lesson you can take from him?
Yeah, I think, for me, obviously I talked about AJ and Tony, but Clint, the legacy that he's left on the sport, he's a 10-time winner in the Cup Series. Obviously a personality larger than life, but also a dirt guy. And, us dirt guys, I feel like, really stick together on the NASCAR side. And, Clint's somebody, he was one of my favorites growing up too. I used to always love watching Clint race, and just because he was a dirt guy, he was one of the few in the Cup Series. So, Clint and me, I haven't talked to Clint, obviously with everything going on, but I think he's going to be phenomenal for TV. I think that's the best thing that could ever happen to Fox. We need a Clint Bowyer in NASCAR, whether it's in the seat or in the booth. And, hopefully I can do Clint, Tony, and AJ all proud, because they all had an outstanding part of that 14's history. And hopefully I can add to that.
Awesome, Chase. Congratulations. Good luck this round.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Let's go to Casey Campbell. Go ahead, Casey.
Thanks, Dan. Hey, Chase. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Don't even recognize you with the beer, without the beard, man. Hey, but in all seriousness, when did you first know that this could be possible? And I'm sorry if this has been asked to you since I just joined late. So when did you first know that this ride could possibly happen this year?
I don't know if there's ever a point where I felt like it was possible. I knew that Clint was obviously in a contract year, and it was going to be, his decision whether to come back or not. I want to say it was probably 2 or 3 months ago. I don't even remember when. Tony had called me one night at like 10:30 at night and had told me that the 14 car was mine, but it might not be next year, but for sure in 2022, whenever Clint decided to leave, it would be mine. So I was confident, but I didn't think that it was going to happen, this coming year. I figured it was going to be when the new car came out. So that obviously gave me a little bit of easiness to, know that if I went back and ran Xfinity again, I was going to have something in the Cup Series. But, I'm one of the older guys. I'm going to be 26 next year. You want to get up to the Cup Series. That's something you've worked for your whole life. So I would say, 3 months ago it kind of blindsided me when Tony called me, but that was the first time I knew that it was going to be a possibility to move up.
All right. Thank you, Chase.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, you need to have a strong anchor leg. So we're going to close out here with the two Dustins. Okay, we'll start with Dustin Long first. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Chase, how do you view 2020 to this point with all that you've gone through?
A lot of ups and a lot of downs, obviously. Just I think in general, everybody in 2020 has been thrown a curveball. Nobody really knows, what the future holds. This year's been very odd, I would say, for everybody, including myself. And it's been nice to have the success on the racetrack. But, truthfully, it's been really weird to win these races and not get to celebrate it with fans. I was on the Dell Junior Download earlier today, and we were talking about it's just different when you win without fans. You don't even really feel like you won just because you don't celebrate like you would another win. You just get out of the car and you go get on the plane. It's just, you don't celebrate a win like you normally would. So, for me, it only really feels like we've won one race in a sense, because Bristol was the only race where I got to feel that fan reaction and really react off of them. So, the highs have been good on the racetrack. The lows have obviously been really low, and me and my wife continue to struggle. It's been really hard for her here lately. So, that's been tough. But, like earlier, somebody asked a question, just being able to get in the race car and kind of not forget about all that stuff, but just put it kind of in the back of your mind for, 2-3 hours has been really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, and let's close out Chase's portion of today's call with Dustin Albino. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, Chase, congrats on the announcement. Kind of off Mike's question earlier, you've been asked countless times this year about what the future holds, what next year holds. How much of a distraction was that while chasing the Xfinity Championship this year?
I wouldn't say it was a distraction. It was just not even tiring. I knew it was coming almost every single week. When I won this past week, I knew what questions I was going to get asked after the race. So you just know going into it. But, I was confident that I was going to have something. I knew Ford was going to believe in me still. I knew that they had my back the whole time. So I wasn't necessarily concerned. I was going to be happy and content if I had to go back to the Xfinity Series. I still feel like I have a lot to learn even there. So, I just wanted to make sure I was driving something, and I was confident I was going to be in something, especially after the year that we had. So it wasn't necessarily a distraction. It was the same thing over and over, obviously, but that's part of it. Whenever you have success, you're going to have that question, especially if you're in one of the lower series. So it's a good question to have. And, obviously glad how it worked out, but it was definitely tiring at times, I guess you could say.
Cool. Thanks, Chase.
Yeah, thanks.
Chase, thanks for joining us. I know we don't have a formal car wash like at ESPN, but it sounds like you're going through that with all the different things you got planned today. So we're glad you could squeeze us in for a few minutes. Best of luck next year in the 14 car and the rest of this year as you chase that Xfinity Championship. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks, everybody.